Hello and welcome back to Where Feng Shui Meets Fashion. Today I have my lovely guest, Susan Schueler, who's a psychic medium. Is that how you describe yourself?
That is indeed how I describe myself, yes.
Excellent. And I met Susan through a girlfriend of mine. Her name is Candace, who you've read for in the past. And you came highly recommended. Oh. And let me just tell you, I've been to a lot of psychics. I am like a connoisseur. No, for real. And I know a lot of them, and I'm friends with a lot. And so I just want to say that you really made an impression.
Oh, why thank you. I'm blushing.
Yes,
thank you.
Yes. So anyway, why don't we talk about your origin story and how you became a psychic medium?
Do you know, it's so funny. Being a psychic medium, I remember joking with other medium friends about this.
Oh, and you know what?
What?
Why don't you come closer to me? So the people can
okay.
see you. Yay, that's better.
Okay. Mediumship isn't something you choose to do. It chooses you.
Okay.
It was like you can run, but you can't hide. So if you're meant to do it, it'll find you one way or the other.
Okay.
I grew up in a really active house with activity.
Meaning like energies?
Ghosts.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely ghosts.
I love ghosts.
And so we lived upstairs from our restaurant. My family owned a restaurant.
Okay.
And so every night,
where was
I'm from Buffalo, New York.
Oh, okay. I used to live in Rochester, New York.
So I'm from Buffalo, New York. And so alcohol, spirits, is like
literally.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's like a breeding ground for that. So being really sensitive, I was very, very aware of everything. My mother was totally oblivious to it. My father was absolutely oblivious to it. My sisters and I, we still joke about it. My mother's like, I don't know what you're talking about, but you know what you know.
Well, how did it appear? How did it manifest?
There were you'd see things. You'd see a lot of really strange things. And it was just a creepy house. It was like, it wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. So for me, it was like, I grew up sleeping with a nightlight.
Was it an old building?
Yes, it was a really old building.
How old?
It was probably more than 100 years old. And the basement was like, it wasn't even like concrete. It was like dirt with like big rocks on the walls. And that was the first place that I ever spoke with spirit, when I was in the basement. I was doing chores, and because I had to clean the restaurant, and I was doing chores, and there was a gentleman. I could see people off in the corner.
Okay. You're in a house that's above a restaurant?
It was a 5-bedroom house.
Okay.
We lived upstairs, and the restaurant was like
on the ground floor?
It sat 100 people. So it was a big restaurant.
But on the ground floor?
Yes.
And so you guys lived right above it. And then, did you own the restaurant?
We owned the restaurant.
Okay, got it. And what kind of food?
A German.
Oh, like schnitzel?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
exactly. Yeah. I grew up in a German restaurant. And so the whole basement went the whole length of the restaurant.
Okay.
So it was spooky down there. I mean, there was just like really, really creepy stuff. So I could see people, I didn't know what they were, over in the corner. So there was one gentleman, I could tell you what he had glasses on and everything. And I didn't know what to do. So I just started talking to him. And
did he look solid?
No,
okay,
he's shadowy.
Shadowy.
Yeah, he's shadowy. All my spirit people are very shadowy.
And you knew it was a ghost. So you're like, that's
I didn't know what it was. I was 6 years old at the time.
Okay. Well, okay.
Yeah, I was 6 years old at the time. All I knew is it was a person that was standing there who I knew wasn't really there. And anytime that I'd mentioned it to my family, I used to get teased. Like they would tease me to the point where it almost made me cry. So I just learned, don't say anything.
Yeah.
And then when I was about 11, I started hearing voices.
And
exactly. And it was one of those things. Thank God I didn't say anything, because
that's a clair. What's that?
Clairaudient.
Clairaudient.
Yeah.
And then when you can see stuff, is that
clairvoyant?
Clairvoyant.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
And then clairfeeling is clairsentient.
Yes, I knew that.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so I was very clairsentient. I felt everything around me. And but with the voices, I was also, and this is, sorry, being a little candid here, I was also exploring drugs at the time. So I was
6?
At 11.
Oh, okay. Wow, you really started young. I mean, 11 is still really young.
So I thought maybe I had gotten high with something that was laced with hash. And I was like, maybe, because so it was like.
So wait, how does an 11-year-old get into drugs?
It's around.
Wait, Did you have older friends?
I had older sisters. I was the baby in my neighborhood. I was the only girl and the only baby. So it was everybody was doing it. It was the 70s. Everybody was doing it.
And which drugs are we talking about?
Just pot.
Okay.
Yeah, pot. But I used to get, oh my God, I sound so horrible when I say this. Really, I'm not a horrible person. Because of the voices and all of the different things that were coming at me, I got drunk before I went to school in the middle school.
Because it was so
overwhelming.
So did it dull it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Totally dulled it.
So I have a girlfriend, actually, same person, who says that, you know, she has some sort of abilities, and when it became too much, she just drank it away.
Absolutely.
Like literally, because it takes away some of your I guess
it just numbs
flares.
you. Yeah, no, it totally numbs you. And so for me, I remember I'll never forget one time sitting at the bar downstairs with my sister and just hearing this din of noise of people like yelling at me. And I just looked at my sister and I said, "Do you hear that?" And she was like, "Are you out of your effing mind?" And I was like, "Okay, don't ever say this out loud again."
And how, like, is it like...
It was in my inner ear, so it's not like you and I.
Okay.
But so it's in my inner ear, and it was just everybody, picture just being at a party where everybody's talking at once, and then you occasionally hear your name screamed.
Okay, so, and it's more than, so it's not one voice, it's a bunch of voices trying to get your attention.
Yes, and it wasn't like anything like kill your mother. You know, it wasn't anything nasty.
And it wasn't
like
the pot. That wasn't when you were doing the pot.
No, it wasn't the pot, but it was just...
or the alcohol.
Yeah.
So those things dulled it.
Yeah. So I did that for a few years. And then, oh my gosh, I went through this period in middle school where there were missing periods of time. Where it would be like, I'd be in French class and I'd be fine in French class. And then all of a sudden I'd be sitting on my couch eating a salad, and I got home and I'm like, I have no idea how I got here.
Like a little time lapse.
And that happened to me. And that's why I thought, like, was it laced with something? It was something. And this happened for probably like a 2-year period where there were just missing periods.
And how old were you?
7th and 8th grade. So how old are you? 12, 13, 14?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so I learned to kind of shut things down.
Yeah.
And then I stopped doing all that stuff. I never got high anymore, and I didn't drink much.
When?
But I don't think I got high after the age of 13.
What?
I know.
Who quits drugs and alcohol? Well, not alcohol.
Yeah, alcohol. I still drank in high school. Yeah.
But, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, most people start around 13, 14, 15, more like 16 for me. But, 14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why when I got to college and people were experimenting with pot, I was like, so been there.
I never really got into pot. I couldn't.
No.
I get paranoid and I don't think it's fun.
Right.
I never thought any of the only thing I think is fun.
Yeah. No. I'm with you on that one.
Is
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah.
So.
And honestly, I think when you're sensitive, like pot, even to this day, it's like, I'll maybe nibble on an edible, but it's like, I'm so sensitive to everything that gets put in my system. So because of that, it's like all bets are off with me. If somebody's like, "Oh no, that's weak, you can do that," I'm like, "No, I'm high. You know, it's not going to work for me."
It's not, yeah.
You know.
And since this is also a podcast, I said the thing that I said was fun is my wine or alcohol in general. I can drink but no other drugs really agree with me.
Totally agree.
So,
yeah. And I'm not saying I haven't done sorry, being really candid. I haven't done drugs as an adult, because I have. But it doesn't settle with me real well.
Have you done plant medicine?
Yeah, I've done ayahuasca journeys.
Oh, me too.
And I've done shrooms. And honestly, the ayahuasca journey, I swear, rebooted me and opened my third eye.
It kicked my ass.
Yeah, I kicked my ass too. It was not a fun. Everybody's like,
it's not fun.
No,
It's
no, don't do it at home.
These are not party drugs.
No, not at all.
If you don't do it as a sacrament, I don't see why you would do it.
No.
Because and shrooms too. That I was like,
yeah.
I mean, all of my journeys have been pretty harrowing, except the last day of the ayahuasca. Like the first 2 days were like torture. Because typically ayahuasca journeys, I don't know about the ones that you've been on, they're usually like several days, and it builds. And so the first 2 days, I was in pure hell. Like I was just like, whatever. But by the third day, it was like nirvana, and I was like, oh, this is. It was worth it.
Right.
But I'm telling you, on the first day, I was like, oh, I've made a mistake. I don't know how to get out of this.
Yeah, and you don't get out of it. I mean, you're there.
You're in.
You're going for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still remember at one point being in the bathroom and vomiting, and they had these people they referred to as angels who helped us around.
Oh yeah, because you're really loopy.
Exactly.
Yes.
So I remember vomiting in the toilet and hearing the quote, "If you want to kiss the sky, you have to learn how to kneel on your knees, boy," by U2. And I'm like, oh, that you guys have a bad sense of humor.
I know. And I remember like my experience of it was like, if you want to get to heaven, you first have to go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it was for me. I had to go on this journey to the depths before I could come to this beautiful light,
Yeah.
And also a lot of my journey, I don't know about yours, but it was just like, get your shit together kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I did mine on the Day of the Dead. Oh, I don't know what I was thinking on that one. And it was just
that's the day after Halloween, right?
Yeah, and it's actually November 1st and 2nd. It kind of goes 2 days.
Yeah.
But it was like skeletons on parade. I mean, and it was like bring out your dead. It brought dark stuff out for me the second time. Yeah.
And did you do it with a shaman?
I did.
Yeah, that me too.
Yeah, it was very, very sacred. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
And he was from Brazil, who we have a translator. Yeah, he was great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see. You're 13. You've given up your drug habit.
Yeah.
Still drinking a little. Then what? What happens with this gift?
Then I just tried to shut it down. I think it was just one of those things where I just jumped into being a typical teenager. I grew up Catholic.
Me too.
So as a Catholic girl, I went to church a lot. I lived in walking distance to my church.
Did you go to Catholic school?
I did not I went to Catholic University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, because I went to Catholic school for a minute and I had to wear the uniform.
Oh, yeah.
And all
No,
that
thanks.
stuff.
Never had to do that.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, and then everybody in my family, I lived with my mother and my grandmother. We moved from being Catholic to born again Christian.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. It was just so I was saved.
But you've already found Jesus.
I was saved. So
Okay.
I have to say I'm thankful for that.
Okay.
For the simple reason that prayer and energy and like laying on hands, like Reiki.
Yeah.
I was laying on hands when I was 15 years old because
are they doing that in the born again? Oh,
it's Pentecostal.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
they do the snakes and the?
Well, I've heard people do tongues.
Oh my!
Where they're like
goodness.
yabba dabba dabba. It sounds like I used to call it yabba dabba. Do you talk?
Do you think that's real?
I think the Holy Spirit is real, and I think it comes through in different types of, and I think that may be the way that they allow it. And I've seen people just go off in the spirit, and it's pretty amazing.
Okay.
And you can feel. I mean, you really can feel it. So to me, I'm glad I went through that. It's
so
not my cup.
Wasn't that weird?
Yeah,
Right.
it's not. I mean, I remember being with my mother and my grandmother in the kitchen, and we had an ant problem, and we were at the kitchen table praying over the kitchen table to get rid of the ants.
Yeah.
So it was like, we kind of got into stuff like that. But to me, isn't that the kind of stuff that you give to spirit now?
Yeah.
When things aren't going in your life, it's like I just say, okay, guys, parking, whatever it is, it's like I'm still throwing it out there, just in a different way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have total faith in the unseen world.
Me too.
Yeah, and I have to say I've had that for my whole life, and I'm grateful for that.
Didn't have it my whole life, to be perfectly honest. I've always been a seeker,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm also very like,
Right.
like prove it.
Right.
So it's this combination of being like both, open, but
Right.
also just because I've met a lot of grifters and a lot of people
Right.
in your space that are
Mhm.
full of shit.
Yeah, and it's funny because I never even had a reading, I think, until I was in my 20s. And I grew up near Lilydale,
Yeah.
which is like a big spiritual mecca. And I shouldn't say this on camera, but there weren't a lot of good mediums that I've come across there. So
Do you think that they know they're not really doing it? Or
I think there's a lot of people that are very sincere and untrained. And to me, it's like, I think this is just probably because of who I am and the way that I approach my life. If I want to do something, I want my accountant to be able to do more than know how to count.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, it's like, yeah, I can connect with spirit. Okay. So what? So can everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To me, it's like, I need to be able to understand how to navigate that. And that's done through a lot of training.
So above and beyond having a natural born gift, you also developed it, and you worked with mentors?
Oh my God. I have advanced degrees, and I spent more money on developing my abilities. I don't like to think of them as gifts.
Yeah.
My abilities than I did on all of my undergraduate and graduate degrees.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you there. I mean, like with feng shui, it's not like I mean, I've always been sensitive to space and
Right.
whatnot, but I mean, I got training, and then I got, so I went to the Western School of Feng Shui, and then I went through the International Feng Shui Guild to become what's called a red ribbon professional.
Which means?
It means that there's a number of different schools of feng shui. It's not like just one approach. Like even Buddhism, there's a number of different.
Right.
So think of it like religion. There's lots of different religions,
Yeah.
right? So I had to be adept to have the basic understanding of all of the different schools and test for. So there's form school, there's Flying Star, there's a lot of different.
Wow,
so
I
I
didn't know
needed
that.
to know just at the very least the basics of each of them,
Right.
so that I could speak intelligently about them. But then my focus is still like form school, which is technically just the original school of feng shui.
Okay.
So I'm just like before compasses got involved and it got
Right.
a little bit more dogmatic.
Okay.
And it's a lot easier approach for Western culture because like we're working with pre-existing structures, so you're not,
Right.
so you can't obsessive like, are you facing east? North,
Right,
south?
right.
You know what I mean? It's like you can't do anything about it. It is what
Right.
it is. So, but anyway, so yeah, I did the training, and I see people who like take like a weekend course of something.
Drives me crazy.
And all of a sudden, like they're
my pet peeve.
multi-dimensional medium, or even in the
Yeah.
feng shui space,
Yeah.
it's like
No, it takes years of training.
it takes years, and once you're out of school,
Mhm.
I did a lot of free work,
Mhm.
and then there's just my learning has never stopped. I'm still taking courses. I'm still developing.
Absolutely.
Like I just did the
I'm a
fashion
lifelong
feng shui
learner.
thing.
That's
Yeah.
that's the way I look at it. We
Yeah.
should be lifelong learners.
So tell me all the different modalities
God.
and things that you studied with, and the mentorship. How that works.
Well, for me, first it started taking transcendental meditation.
Me too.
Yeah,
Shut up! I didn't know you did TM.
Oh yeah, TM took me down the rabbit hole in the 90s. And
Wait, how old were you when you did the TM?
it was in the 90s, 94. I was in my late 20s.
Okay. All right. So that was like the first official training that you did?
I think, you know what it was? I read the book, The Celestine Prophecy.
Okay.
And I was like, oh my God, I had no idea. What are these colors people are seeing? And it brought back some of the things I had repressed.
Okay.
And then with the TM, it was like, okay, this sounds so weird. I was in Paris with a friend, and at the table behind us, a guy reaches over and he goes, "You guys are American. Where are y'all from?" And I said, "Oh, we're in Santa Monica." He goes, "We're in Santa Monica." And I explained where I live in Santa Monica. He goes, I'm on 14th Street.
Oh.
So here we are in Paris, and he did TM. So to me, it was like one of those things where it was such a...
Wait, was he the one? You didn't get trained with him.
He was, yes. He wasn't the TM teacher, but he hooked me up with the teacher.
So you became friendly with him, and then he brought you into that.
He brought me into TM.
Okay,
yeah, he told me all, because it was like I knew something was missing, and I wanted to meditate. I didn't know where to begin. And I just happened to meet this guy who lived down the street from me in Paris.
But you'd heard of TM?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just because of the Beatles.
Oh my God, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Famously made it famous.
Exactly.
Okay, so now you're not doing this work at the time professionally. What kind of work were you doing?
I'm a high school English teacher by trade.
Love it.
I was a high school English teacher, and I loved it. I love working with high school kids. They're wonderful. I really do miss doing that.
Really?
Absolutely. I don't miss the bureaucracy. I don't miss the districts, and I worked in a terrific district.
Okay.
But
and this is in California.
I taught in Culver City.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I taught at Culver City High School. And it was a great, and the kids and their parents all knew I was a medium.
How?
Because we talked about diversity, and I was like, okay, well, if we're chatting it up about diversity, I talk to the dead. And everybody's like, oh, I have a question.
You know? Of course. They're either going to be freaked out or they're going to be very intrigued.
So we had amazing discussions. My parents used to come in and talk. It really, and to think about it, as a literature teacher, as an English teacher, you talk about life. You talk about all the great topics, and that was just, and so by the end of my teaching career, which I finally got out of teaching in 2015, because I was doing both and I was losing my mind. the kids were making magic wands. It was like I had really brought my mediumship into it.
But you were not doing it professionally.
Oh, I was doing it. I started doing it professionally in 2012.
Oh,
so
that was like
doing both.
An interesting year too, 2012.
Yeah.
Wasn't that supposed to be when like the world came to an end?
Exactly, the Mayan calendar.
The Mayan calendar, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting. Okay. So then what other mentorship? You started with the TM.
Oh yeah, TM. Then I started sitting in development circles. And development circles were not as popular back in the day when I started.
What is a development?
A development circle is where somebody who is a medium will run a group. Like I run a couple now.
Okay.
It's just like where people can be at various levels, but there was nobody doing it. So I drove all the way to Orange County every week from Santa Monica. Okay. And my ex used to call them the witches of Orange County.
Oh my God, yes.
So I sat with these gals every week. And we had met at like a workshop I think I had done with James Van Prague. So James.
Oh yeah.
James was probably
one of show.
Yes, yeah. So James was probably one of my earlier teachers. Then I had Lisa Williams as a teacher for many years. And he was a medium. Yeah, he's a medium.
And so you studied mediumship with him.
And it's funny because I never intended to be a medium. I never intended to be a psychic. It's funny because Lisa Williams said to me one time, she goes, well, when you start doing this professionally, and I was like, girl, you're out of your mind. I will never do this professionally.
Lisa Williams, the name sounds familiar.
She's a British medium. She also had a TV show. Okay. Merv Griffin found her and he started a show for her.
Is she the one with the weird hair?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'm thinking about somebody else.
No. Yeah, so then Lisa Williams, and then I got turned on to Arthur Findlay College, which is over in England.
You know, some people may not know what mediumship is, so maybe we can explain what that is.
Okay, mediumship is connecting to the spirit world and me as the human serving as a medium between the person with whom I'm talking, who's in their earthly form, and the spirit world.
And you had already been communicating, or they were trying to communicate with you when you were much younger.
Yes.
Before you started working with James or even doing the TM, were you still connecting? Were they still talking to you? Was that coming through?
Yeah. And it came more through like angels and guides and stuff like that because of the Catholic and the Christian background. That was something I felt comfortable with. So there
You're like, I'll talk to an angel, but I'm not talking to you, weirdo.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, like spirit guides and past life stuff, all of that. Like I remember being 12 years old and finding on my mother's bookshelf, Life After Life. Okay. And it's about past lives. I was intrigued and it made such sense to me. And even with the Christian and the Catholic thing, I thought to myself, well, okay, so maybe heaven is like after we've done it so many times and we've gotten it right, then we go up to heaven. You know what I mean? It was like I had to try to make them fit.
I was obsessed with reincarnation as a child. I was obsessed with death.
100%.
I would lay in bed and like, okay, so when you die, it's just black. It's just nothing. And
oh my God.
I was just trying to imagine what it was.
No, why were you obsessed if you thought that's what happened?
Well, I didn't know if that's what happened. I was just like, that just can't be right.
Right.
Was my sense. And then, I learned about like Buddhism and reincarnation and different things as I got older. And I was just like, I'm sorry, but that makes more sense to me.
Yes, exactly. It resonates. It's like, I can own that. Yeah.
I can own that.
Yeah.
Okay, so reincarnation, TM, then what?
Like I said, then I started sitting in development circles. And as I was sitting in the development circles for the first year, this just shows you how insecure I was. You get all this information and I just didn't know how to discern anything that I was getting. And I've always been more clairsentient, which I really feel things.
That's your biggest.
That's my biggest. Absolutely.
Claire.
Absolutely. And if you know, because you worked with me, I always say, I feel this, I feel that. That's,
yeah.
But so my clairvoyance hadn't really popped in at that point. And I still remember like getting the first vision. But anyway, so sitting in circle, everybody's like, I've got this, I've got this, I've got that. I sat for an entire year before I opened my mouth.
Really?
I just held space. And when I finally started talking, and I'm not a quiet person, when I finally started talking, they're just like, what happened to Susan? Holy crap. And it was just
this lady.
Yeah, but that's exactly what mediumship training is all about, is it's like therapy on steroids. Because you do all this inner work. And I mean, I'd been to therapy before, but it wasn't until mediumship training that I was it peeled away everything. I mean, it brought the most beautiful healing in my life.
So were you guys reading each other?
Yeah, we would sit in circle, and sometimes somebody might have like, oh, I want to try this technique, or oh, let's do this, or somebody would run that week. And these ladies had been all doing it for a while. They'd been taking classes. So I was like the newbie of the newest.
And is this with Von Prague?
No, these were the Witches of Orange County.
But he was the trainer.
No.
There's the Witches of Orange County.
We met at a workshop of his.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we met. So it was like, we all knew we wanted to sit in a circle, and so my one girlfriend who ran a midwifery center, we met in her midwifery center. That was where we had our circle. So babies were born. Then we were, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. But then I started my own circle. So it was like I had my West Side Witches, and then I had my Orange County Witches. And then I just became a junkie. When I say a junkie, it was like
not drugs.
Yeah, definitely not.
A
not
spiritual
drugs.
junkie.
Yeah, I started going to. I was turned on to Arthur Findlay College, which is like the Harvard of training for spiritual. Yeah, it's in England. It's about an hour out of London.
Oh, I think I've seen a special
Yeah,
on this
it's
on
a beautiful.
like
it's
Netflix or something like that.
It's the real Hogwarts.
For real?
For real. It's the real Hogwarts. And so it's just this beautiful manor house where you stay in the manor house. It's got like 100 people are there. And then you have all these different tutors. Most of them are British, but I mean, there's some that are German. But anyway, so I just started meeting people from all over the world who were studying mediumship. And most of them were not professional mediums. They loved mediumship, and they went to spiritualist church.
Yeah.
And I just fell in love with it. So I was like a junkie. I was going to England 2-3 times a year.
I do have a question.
Fire away.
Okay, so I feel, and I've heard that some people are connecting with some higher beings, and some people are connecting with not so high beings. So the information is coming from a lower realm. Do you think that some people, they hear voices or this or that, but it's not necessarily like that? Perhaps it could be demonic.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that? Is that a thing?
There are lower vibrational entities. Absolutely. Do I ever deal with them? Never.
How do you know?
Because my vibration's really high.
Okay.
And I keep it really high. And every time, like where I grew up, there were lower vibrational entities.
Sure.
Absolutely. It was like I could feel it. And that's why it creeped me out.
Yeah.
So it was like, after doing this for years, I know what it feels like if something's icky. Now, that's not to say my bungalow before. I remember rounding the corner one time and seeing this black figurey, kind of like shadowy figure.
Okay.
And it was connected into my ex.
Oh.
Yeah. Once he left and I had like the whole space cleared, it never happened again. So it's like you can also associate yourself with lower vibrational people. He drank. You know what I mean? And so because of that, it can bring that in. But now where I'm at right now, when I connect into spirit, it is so high vibrational. It is so beautiful. There's never anything low.
So it's really important who you surround yourself with.
Absolutely. And that you take care of yourself, and that you eat right, and that, you know what I mean? And I mean, I've got some medium friends who won't eat any meat like before they do mediumships.
Sure.
It doesn't work for it's like
everybody's different.
Everybody's different. Yeah. And I know, like, after I do a demonstration, I am like, I want a steak or I want a burger. And I swear half the reason is because I'm up here and I need to be grounded.
Are you O blood type?
I am an O blood type.
How did I know that?
Yeah.
Because it's the mediator blood.
No, I'm sorry. I'm A.
Oh,
Okay, yeah.
Interesting.
So I shouldn't theoretically eat meat.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's so much stuff around food and different, everybody's bodies react to things so differently.
Yes. And like I said, I'm sensitive. It's like all of the like glutens, they don't like me.
Oh, glutens don't like me either. But you know what? I don't think glutens like anybody.
Yeah.
They're not good for anybody. Some people are more sensitive than others, but they're not good for anyone.
Right.
Okay, so now you're doing this training with these ladies, and then what?
Then I was like going over to Europe all the time.
The Hogwarts school.
Yeah, Hogwarts school.
How long were you in that?
I did that for 10 years.
So you're in this,
and I was going to school. I was so busy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
But
so
did
busy.
you have a day job too?
I was still teaching.
So you're teaching and doing the Hogwarts thing.
Mhm.
So it's just what, like between...
The Hogwarts things, you go for a week at a time.
I get
So
it.
I used to
Okay.
go across the pond and go for 2 weeks. And I do it Christmas. I always did it Thanksgiving time. I spent
Oh.
Thanksgiving over there so many times. I've had mutton for so many Thanksgivings. But yeah, because it was, and it was nice too, because there, when you go to, I didn't want a lot of Americans.
Uh-huh.
So it was like everybody was from someplace else because everybody in America wanted to stay in America for Thanksgiving.
Sure.
So it was kind of like a really fun time to go. And then I always went in the summertime for a few weeks.
Nice.
It was like being in a Jane Austen novel. It was just, it's like they've got horses and you're out in the countryside.
It's also such an
sheep.
ancient place, and the architecture's so amazing. I
Mhm.
mean, like Europe in general, I really, so beautiful.
Yeah, no, so that was just an amazing experience. And then through that, I brought like, it's almost like some of the mediums who were very British,
Mhm.
we started bringing them to America.
Okay. Well, can I ask you something? So, what's the Hogwarts school called?
Arthur Findlay College.
And where is it located?
It's about an hour outside of London.
Okay, because my understanding is that England in general, the ley lines, and like that, it's a very powerful place spiritually. Would you say that that's true?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. And I remember the first time, one of the times I was laying in my bed at the college, and it was like all of a sudden I could see the whole ceiling move. And that was when I first started like really seeing energy move. And I was like, one of my friends was like, I'm like, do you see that? I'm like, oh my, and you sound like you're tripping, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
it's like you just really, the more that you open up things, the weirder things get. But you're just like, you just learn to go with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now what? So you've done all this training, you've been teaching, and then...
Then I started getting into platform, demonstrating mediumship, where you stand up in front of a
Oh.
group. And now I love doing that. That's a lot of fun. But that was another thing. I remember one of the girls in my circle was going to take a class with Lisa Williams, who was doing platform. And she's like, do you want to take the class with me? And I was like, I don't want to get up and stand in front of people. And
So then when you're doing that, like, what are you bringing in? Are you reading somebody in particular? Are you just channeling something? Like, what?
It's like the whole audience. You see, it's well, the way it works for me is I have like a bouncer
Okay.
guide who
Okay.
lines up my spirits for me.
Okay.
And so I just say, I have a gentleman here. He feels like he died of a heart attack. I feel like he's a
Oh,
father.
Okay, and I remember because
Yeah.
they had shows like that
Yes,
that had
exactly.
What do you
like,
call it again? What is it? Platform?
It's platform. It's demonstrating mediumship.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you're just reading the energies from the audience, and then somebody's like, "Oh, that's me."
Mhm. Well, it can be, oh, that's me, or it can be, and I'm really drawn to you. Does anybody in
Okay.
this area understand that? And so it's lovely because sometimes people who maybe wouldn't go to a medium
Yeah.
will sit in an audience and you feel spirit. I mean, it's impossible to sit there and not feel spirit. So you don't even need a connection. And you just,
Interesting.
and you can just like somebody's crying and then it's like, oh, you're laughing. And it's amazing. If you ever get a chance to go see a demonstrating
Really?
medium, oh my God, it is like, it became my drug of choice.
Okay. Well, you have to like turn me on to one of
Yeah,
those.
I'll
like,
tell you next time we do a
yeah.
demonstration.
That sounds
Yeah.
cool. That sounds cool. Okay. So now what?
So then I was busy doing the classes, busy teaching, and busy doing readings after school and on the weekends.
Okay. So it was like a side hustle at that point.
It was a side hustle, absolutely.
Gotcha.
And like I said, I remember Lisa Williams telling me that I was going to start doing this professionally, and I was like, absolutely not. I love my gig. I love teaching. I love working with kids.
So it was never your goal to do it like
Absolutely
full-time?
never my goal. And then my ex at the time said to me, well, why don't you just leave teaching? And you know what we always say, like there's, even in bad relationships, there's a reason.
Of course.
This is the reason that I think the whole reason I was with that person was so that I would be, because I probably wouldn't have, I don't know, been brave enough to do it on my own.
Really?
And by just him saying that, it was like, are you cool with it? And he was like, absolutely. I didn't miss a beat. It was like a double Dutch game. It was like, you know, you'd think, oh, you got to build your business. I just jumped in, left teaching, and it was like full time.
And it was on.
And it was on.
Well, because you'd already been establishing,
Mhm.
like, you know, all those relationships
Mhm.
and probably developing a reputation, and you had the side hustle, so word of
Mhm.
mouth would have built over time, I would imagine.
Absolutely. So it was just such a beautiful, easy transition that sometimes now I just look at myself and I'm like pinching myself. I'm like, this is like the most amazing. I am so blessed that I get to do what I do, and I get to work with these really terrific people and these amazing spirits. I mean, it's
Nice.
it's amazing. I love my work.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
wonderful.
and I still take classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still take classes.
I still take classes
Yeah,
too.
to me,
and read books
yes,
and always constantly
absolutely.
cultivating.
And then after my ex and I broke up and I had the house to myself, in 2018, I started teaching that. And it was one of those things where I was
teaching
mediumship to other people.
Can I ask you, can somebody who's just wasn't born with that gift really develop that?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, you may never be to a point where you're like, oh, I want to be a professional medium.
Right.
But I can absolutely teach you how to connect into the spirit world. And psychic, hands down, I can teach you so much psychic stuff. We have so much going for us. Most people never tap into their abilities. And I don't think what I do is anything special. I think so many of us have these natural abilities.
It's special.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But are there people that just can't?
Okay, I'll use my sister for an example.
Okay.
My sister Tammy is a truck driver. Love her dearly. She
God bless her.
But she's definitely one of these people, and she's taken classes with me. We've gone to
Really?
Lily. Oh yeah,
Okay,
my whole
yeah.
family's gotten into it. They've tried. Yeah, and my niece could do what I do. She just doesn't want to. Her thinking. What happens is people who are over analytical,
Right.
they will think they won't trust what they're getting.
They'll think themselves out of
Absolutely.
it. There has to be some level
You have to be a
of
creative.
suspension of disbelief.
You have to be a creative.
And that's hard
Yeah.
for a lot of people. Like even
Absolutely.
for myself, I struggle with suspension of disbelief. But once you do that, within the realm of like, you still have to have some discernment,
Right.
but you have to let go.
Yeah. And like there are some people who believe like clairsentiently you get all of your information and then your imagination makes your clairvoyance or makes your clairaudience or makes your other clairs. So it's so important that you're able to tap into your right creative brain.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you're just only analytical.
Are you left-handed?
No.
But you're a woman, and in
Yeah.
general, we're more right-brained.
Yeah.
so-
And remember, my degrees are in theater and literature and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like,
that part of your brain is
Exactly.
very activated.
yeah, absolutely. But because of all the dissecting I've done over the years of literature and stuff, I'm also very analytical,
Sure.
you know? So, but just trusting yourself and allowing yourself to get the images or hear the things and not get in your head.
Mhm.
And that's why people say to me, I can't believe it works over the phone, like readings over the phone. And I'm like, are you kidding me? That's easy. Because when you're looking at somebody,
It's hard to get distracted.
you
or
get in
easy
your
to get distracted.
you get into your head and you start thinking and insecurities come up. Whereas if you're just like on the phone and you're like, blah, 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 you just go into your happy space.
I missed you.
Oh, bless you.
So I had to go blow my nose, and we're back. We were talking about suspension of disbelief, and then your sister, the truck driver,
Right.
Because I had asked you, is there anyone that just can't
Yeah,
get
and
into the psychic thing?
It's interesting because she lost her only daughter.
Oh,
She was killed when she was 18 by a
Shit.
drunk driver.
okay.
So it's like, I think a lot of times, like her daughter Allie will come through in just downright hysterical ways for us. One time we were up in Vancouver and we were on a ferry and a huge semi pulled next to us and it just said Alexandria, which is Allie's name.
Oh, okay.
Like right across the side of the truck. So she'll get
Little
messages.
sign.
Yeah, it just looked like a huge sign. But she'll get messages from her daughter that way. But like she'll never really get messages otherwise because she can't go there.
That part of her brain just
Yeah.
And don't you think it is something in some people's brain makeup that makes them much more
Absolutely.
able to see and experience other realms?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I think even like growing up, like I said, Catholic and Christian, that religion's all about the unseen world. So, you know, it was like I just grew up understanding that, yes, that's real.
Right.
So for me to say, okay, and now, and like what you had said before about, do you see them, did the spirits show up or are they like hazy things? You know, it's like I've gotten more comfortable with, okay, it's hazy, but if I wasn't paying attention, I would miss that haziness.
So you have to like have some
You have to trust
openness.
yourself.
Yeah. You have to have the vision.
Mhm.
Literally, open your eyes to it.
Yeah.
And I speak to that like as far as noticing signs in your environment.
Right.
Like where I'm not necessarily like what you do, I get messages through things that happen in my environment or that show up, physical things. Because I'm the very touch it, tangible, like show me. So physical things will happen that I'm like, oh, Spirit's talking to me.
Yeah.
Got it. Got them. Or in a dream or something like that. But I think your environment can be a really great, if you're paying attention to things going on.
And that's the sad part with technology today. And it was like one of my teachers a long time ago taught me, pretend you're a private detective and go through your life. So you notice everything. And noticing everything, and that's why I will never be the person who walks their dog while they're on the phone. You know what I mean? I see people doing that all the time.
Like they're not present.
They're not present. You know what I mean? So I am
here now.
Totally present, and like driving down the street, I'm always like looking in cars. You know what I mean? It's like I'm just nosy. And I swear that's helped me quite a bit too, because when Spirit comes close, I want to get to know them.
Of course.
I want to know all the little details.
Yeah.
You know? And when Spirit comes close, and I've also been taught that they need to come in behind and blend with me. So I will feel everything they're feeling.
Oh.
You know? And so it's like if I'm feeling everything they're feeling, it's so easy for me to convey that to you. You know? And then it's, what's the best thing you can get from your loved one who's been gone away is to sit with somebody that brings them back to you. Where you actually, I mean, I've had people like, I feel like my husband was here. And to me, I'm like, I'm doing my job then.
That's
you know?
cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so then how do we get here now to the kind of work that you're doing full time? It started in what year?
Oh God. For what part? The TM started in the 90s.
Right, but your actual, I started like, no longer it's a side hustle. What year did you switch from side hustle to like full time?
I left teaching in 2015.
Okay, so 2015. And so really you haven't been doing it that long. No. Full time.
Because I taught for 25 years.
Yeah. So what are we, 2024? So 9 years. I mean, you've been doing it a while, but I'm just saying, and then before that, how many years were you doing it like as a side hustle?
I started getting paid for it. That's the way I look at it. And I say when I started getting paid for it, I'm like, that's professional. 2012.
Okay. So just 3 years prior. Okay. Yeah. So 9, 10, 11, 12 years. Yeah. It's going to be 13.
And I know.
Okay. And now you're doing it full time and you're doing a couple of different things. So you do psychic readings, you do mediumship. Tell us about the different modalities.
I do past life readings, and I never intended to do past life readings. It was sometimes when I tap into somebody, it was like all of a sudden like a movie reel would click. And I'd be like, okay, I'm seeing a different time period. And it would always be like a direct correlation to something they were going through. Whether it was like a relationship they were in or something. So I do spiritual assessments, and a spiritual assessment is like a psychic reading on steroids.
Oh.
Okay. It's like you do past lives.
Ooh, I might want to get one of those.
They're fun for people that are more spiritually slanted.
Yeah.
And that's what they do at the college. When I go to Arthur Findlay College, we would get readings from our instructors, and they would refer to them as spiritual assessments. And so that's kind of where I took that, because I thought to myself, these are truly, because I don't really need mediumship readings. I mean, yes, I've got 100 people in spirit. Yes, I have a lot of dead people, but I don't need that. Psychic readings? Oh yeah, color me there. I want a psychic reading from somebody who's good.
Oh, so you like getting readings from other readers. But
I'm super picky.
You should be, and you would be, because and you know, so am I now that I've seen you can just tell.
Yeah, and that's why it was always so nice when you were at the college, because your instructors, who, I mean, it's like, you know, these are the best of the best of the best in the world, would do readings for you.
But also, I think sometimes it's like somebody can be really good at it, but like you just can't get a connection with them.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
And it's just a vibration thing or whatever, like clicking. So you know, I may go to a psychic that someone else
loves.
Yeah. And I actually had I went to somebody else that Candace recommended, and I just didn't get anything out of it. Like, I'm like, I don't get it. Like.
Right.
She drew a bunch of stuff, and I'm like, I don't.
Right.
Okay. But it's not to say that she's not good. It's just like she didn't tap into anything that was helpful to me.
And the way that I've been trained from going to the college was, I'm supposed to focus on meeting your needs. And that's where I put my intention. It's not, I mean, so if I put the intention on, like when I read somebody, I want to meet their needs, I'm going to tell you everything you want to talk about before you open your mouth.
Ah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, I feel like we're supposed to talk about relationships. I feel like we're supposed to talk about your career. Your career feels really flat right now. You know what I mean? And it's sort of like, and most of the time, like if you read my reviews, people will say she knew what I wanted to talk about before I said anything.
Right.
And that's like, okay, I'm doing my work then.
Right.
You know, because to me, that's the way it should be. And then a lot of times you'll be talking about things with people that they didn't know they needed to talk about.
Right.
So sometimes, and that's why I always start in the beginning with be open. Be open.
Absolutely. Because
you know?
I mean, that's why you're there to get new information.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's break it down again. So it's psychic
readings,
mediumship, past
lives, and then spiritual assessment.
And spiritual assessment, which is like a combination.
It's some psychic, sometimes spirit guides. It's not as evidential. Like if I'm bringing through past life stuff, or if I'm bringing through your spirit guides, it's not like I'm bringing through your grandmother who you can say, oh yeah, she skydived, she did this, she did this. That's evidence.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm like, okay, you've got a blue angel over your head, or she tells me your name's Angela, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
That's just, you will resonate with it.
Right.
And most of the time people are like, oh my God, that explains X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's not evidential. So I've been trained to be an evidential medium.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you kind of have to, there are certain mediums I know who wouldn't do past lives. Like spiritualists don't believe in past lives. There's no proof. Yeah. So it's like they won't, you know, just like they don't believe that animals have souls.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I know. That
what?
Yeah, I know that didn't fly
How
with me.
dare they?
Yeah, that didn't work with me either.
I mean, I have a whole cemetery of my past animals over in that area over there.
Yeah. And that's a neat thing too, is like when you start doing this work, it's like, it's no different if you are, and we've practiced, I remember sitting in one of my development circles, we brought through a reptile. We did psychic reading on a reptile.
Oh, really?
We did
reptile?
what
does like a reptile have to say?
It was so different feeling. We did a bunny, a reptile, and a dog.
Okay, I want to hear what a reptile.
The reptile, he was so slow in his communication.
Aww.
It was like he was on Quaaludes.
Was it a snake?
It was like, what do they call it? Iguanas?
Yeah.
Okay. It was like that. So it was like a big thing.
Aww.
But he was super cool. Really, you know, and it was just, he was very slow. The dog, you know, Odie from Garfield.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the way the dog showed up. He was like, doing, 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 all over the place.
Happy.
Exactly. And then the bird was like, sorry, I just flipped off.
Yeah. The bird was mad?
No, the bird just had attitude.
Oh, I like it.
My God, he had so much attitude. It was hysterical. We were laughing so hard. I'm like, I had no idea that animals. And
have you gotten any cats?
Oh yeah, cats. Well, cats are very different. Sometimes they're cuddly. Sometimes, well, you know, you've got your own cats. Yeah, but it was just in comparison with the others, it was very interesting. And there are some people who believe that like animals won't have souls if they're like in a if they haven't had the I am. Like this one knows what she wants. She's kind of got the I am. She has, it's not like she's part of a pack, even though she is part of a pack.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that once an animal has like, if I look really cute or I do this, mom will give me a treat.
Right.
There's like an I am.
Got
so
it.
there's a sense of self. So once they have the sense of self, then they get the soul. And there's some that believe like that's the stepping stone to making it up so then you can become a human.
Who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Exactly.
And then you just
Total
you're getting in the
speculation.
weeds. And like at that point, who cares? You know, it's like they have souls.
Exactly.
So or they have energy bodies, whatever, something. Okay. So now you're doing this work. You're loving it. Where, like, how do you get most of your clients? Like online, word of mouth?
I do a lot of word of mouth. I'm going to say I get a lot of word of mouth.
I mean, that's how I found it.
Yeah, I think that a lot of Yelp. I have Google searches. I do advertise sometimes on Facebook.
And I'll put your website on there, but if you want to say what it is.
MediumSusan.com.
MediumSusan.com.
How easy is that?
Okay, so I want to talk about the reading you did with me.
Okay.
Because and I don't know if you remember it, but you were talking about things that would basically start to happen in November. You're
This November.
Yeah, now.
Okay,
Right.
okay,
Which is
funny.
why I was like, oh, this is the perfect time. And by the way, today's Mercury retrograde, like the
Woohoo.
first day of Mercury retrograde. So I was like,
Oh,
so
Lord.
it was interesting having you come today. And yeah, so I listened to the reading that you did for me right before you came over.
When did we do the reading?
I want to say June.
Okay, so past summer. Okay.
Yeah. And I was, telling you how I was wanting to sell the show, and you're like, it's going to take a lot longer than you think.
Oh.
And I was like,
Sorry.
no, but you're like, I'm seeing like things start to move in the fall. And then I was talking to you about like, that I thought I had a manager and then I didn't. And that I was reaching out to producers and you were feeling more manager energy. So I will say just yesterday, I got a response from a manager because you were like, I was like, no, I need a producer. And you're like, you were leaning towards manager.
Okay.
And so, we'll see what happens with that.
Right.
But I thought like, oh, okay, I will try the manager route. And I'm already this is me making a show.
Right.
Like what happens with it, whether I sell it or not, whatever.
Right.
Like I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I remember you were saying was that to lean into like more of the intuitive thing. I'm like, it's a fashion feng shui thing that I'm doing. And you're like, yeah, but it's something spiritual about like, and so now I'm doing interviews because this is so interesting to me. And the idea for me with like where feng shui meets fashion, it's not just about feng shui and fashion. Because to me, feng shui applies to everything. Right.
That makes perfect sense.
So I see the world through feng shui eyes. I see like, oh, that painting over there, or that piece of art is communicating something, and it's in the love gua. And we're sitting in my love gua, actually.
I love it.
And this is the fame gua of the room.
Okay.
But this is the love gua of my apartment.
See, I find, and just talking to you that day, I was so fascinated with what you were saying.
Yeah.
And, oh my God. That's why I said, I was like, I think about you sometimes. Because to me, it's like certain things clients say where you're just like, that's a brilliant idea. That's something. And it just like, what I always say is it's like the energy shoots up or the energy sits flat.
Yeah.
And when you were talking, it was like, boom. And I'm like, ooh, that's good.
When I was talking about certain things and certain other things, you're like, eh.
Uh-huh.
And so what you seem to lean into.
But your whole concept of fashion.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, I'm dressed in my water with a little fire, and you're in your water and your wood.
Yeah, I love that.
So, for people listening, when I talk about her being her and I are both wearing black, which is water. So that's an easy way to talk about water element. And water is a very spiritual element, and it's like going deep. Get it? And it's also an element that absorbs all of that. Wood, she's wearing a pair of jeans, which is they're made out of cotton, so that's wood. They're blue, which is wood, also represents wood. And the structure of them, pants, are woody because and wood energy is very like, go get things done and active and, like I hate wearing pants.
What about yoga pants?
Oh, I like stretchy pants. Like I'll wear my workout pants. I just don't like anything that's constricting.
Okay.
And jeans, I will wear them, and I do have some, but it's a very specific mood I have to be in to wear them because I don't think they're comfortable, and B, I don't feel feminine in them.
Yeah, well, they're not at all feminine.
So, and I just really like hyper feminine clothes. I just do. That's just my vibe.
So what would it be wood or whatever for the like yoga pants?
That's wood because it's active wear.
Okay.
So active wear that's for athleisure wear is very woody. Even if it's got if it's black, which is water, the nature of the outfit is still woody because what are you wearing it for? What is the structure of it? What's it made out of? That's another thing. So the elements in fashion feng shui show up in a number of different ways. Color is the most obvious. So I was so stuck on color as being the most meaningful thing in the fashion feng shui because I was coming at it from my feng shui background. I'm like, black is water. And my trainer was like, and I was convinced I was just water, water, water. And she's like, you are so fiery.
Oh, wow.
But I don't wear red.
Right.
But
Are but there's other colors that are fiery besides red.
Well, oranges and pink and fuchsia, like fire spectrum
Okay.
colors are, and but because I specifically can't wear bright red, I can wear like burgundy.
Okay, right.
Or purple or fuchsia, but I look terrible in red. It's just not right for my coloring. So I was like, oh, there's no way I'm fire. And she's like, color A is not the whole story. Shapes. So triangular shapes, pointy shapes, star shape.
What about like fitted dresses?
Sexy.
Yeah,
if
sexy
it's
fitted dresses.
Short and tight.
But even if it's long.
Fiery. Even if it's long, if it's body conscious, then it's fiery.
Okay.
What makes this is very watery, but this neckline is fiery.
Yeah, and that's a great neckline.
Yeah. So, but it's flowy, it's black, it's long. It's pretty watery. It's stretchy and comfortable, and it's A-line, which is all watery. But your bottom half here is wood, your top is water, and elementally, that's perfect for you because you're spiritual, but you like.
Right.
You're a go-getter. You get things done, and you've got a lot of fiery energy.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Yeah.
Even if you're not wearing it right now. For all I know, you're wearing like some red underwear or something.
Well, it's so funny because like all I ever wear is yoga pants, black yoga pants.
Oh, so you love athleisure wear. You like to be comfortable.
That's all I wear.
And movement.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So like the fashion aspect of it, it's not just a superficial thing, it's the energy. So the way you can use the fashion is for what is your intention that day. Let's say I'm meeting with somebody who's really earthy, and I can't just show up as water or fire or what. I need to do something grounding enough that they will be able to relate to me. So I hate brown. I don't like earth tones on me, but I might wear something with like a square shape. So square shapes represent earth. I might do something that's grounding.
Explain a square shape.
Like squares. Square, rectangle. So it could be your jewelry. You could have square earrings, or you could have a square print.
Okay.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a checkered print.
Okay.
You could wear brown or beige or I know. Right?
Beige to me is like even just the sound of it is like.
I know. I used to. Yeah. So Earth is also very conservative.
Right.
It's like Mother Earth, grounding, like big chunky sweater. Brown chunky baggy sweater is very earthy. I'm like, I might want to kill myself.
I was just gonna say
I would never wear that, but I can do a square shape. I can. Yellow is earth also. So that's the only earth tone that I think is like kind of cheerful and fun. Now, I don't look great in yellow, but if something has like a little yellow flower in it or something, so there's ways to bring in earth. I wear very little earth. That is a tough one. And the crazy thing about it is astrologically, I'm earth. I'm a Capricorn with a Taurus rising. I could not be more earth, but energetically, my moon is fire. So I have a lot of like repressed fire that wants to go out.
Funny. So in other words, like my living room, one of my living rooms is yellow. My other one's like sage green.
Okay, so wood and earth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what is the predominant color in your space?
I don't think there is a predominant color. It's like I said, my one room is yellow. My room is like a light lilac, my bedroom.
Oh, that's purple in any case is it's an abundance color in feng shui. It's royalty. It's money.
I got a lot of purple accents.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as you can see, my home is a very colorful explosion of color. I like color.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But some people like really muted earthy tones. The thing is, if you're too earthy, you can feel stuck.
Right. Okay.
I like a lot of fire around me, but I need to. Sometimes I'll calm it down if I'm getting too.
Right. Oh God, when I was married to my ex, we had red living room.
Did you fight a lot?
And he's a Sag, and I'm a
Oh.
Sag. Yeah, so it was like, yeah, we fought a lot.
You
Yeah,
guys were activated. It
was
can
a
be-
wrong color for us.
It can be a lot,
Yeah.
you know, like and also it depends where it's located. The reason that I have some fire in here is because this is the love gua. So red
Right.
is and even orange, which is
Right.
in the red spectrum, helps, you know, activate that, and that's a
Right.
good thing. But I wouldn't necessarily do fire in, say, you know, the career gua, or I wouldn't emphasize red in the career
or
gua.
in the bedroom.
Well, a little goes a long way.
Okay.
That's the thing about the bedroom is like it's for sleeping and making love, right? And it's this, you need to get this perfect balance of a little bit of fire
Right.
because it's sexy, but that can just be, there's different ways to bring in fire. You could have a faux fur because the faux fur represents fire. Animal prints represent fire. So star, chevron print, there's ways without using actual red, because the thing with red is it can be so stimulating you can't sleep.
Right.
And so, you know, let's just say if you want to liven up your sex life, you put in like a red sheet between your mattress and your what do you call it, the foundation. Or you do red sheets, but you can't leave them there indefinitely because it's not restful.
So you're saying like textured, like I've got so much fur.
Faux fur
on my bed.
is fiery.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I've got so much.
So even if it's creamy, which
Yeah.
is earthy, that's nice. It's fire without it being so, because red stimulates the brain, whatever, you know, like there's science behind the impact of color.
So
Like
intriguing.
they've done like experiments where they put like inmates in a certain color room. I think it was a pink room, and at first it calmed them down, and then it made them crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it was interesting.
I wonder if that's why every school I've been in was either, oh no, that's kind of white, was either like a tannish colored or a very, very soft blue. My classrooms
blue
were always those colors.
It's good because it's calming. It's like, I think it's throat chakra.
Mm-hmm.
So it's communication.
Yeah.
Blue's a good one and it's also growth.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like woody. So I think blue's a great color to have children in. If you put a kid in like a bright red room, forget it.
Yeah.
They are never going to sleep. Like you
Yeah.
want, and the same things that apply to adults don't, like, kids' rooms don't need to be sexy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, you know, maybe just no fire element in there.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so intriguing. Yeah, that's so intriguing. And I went through, as I told you, I live bi-coastally sometimes. So I redid a bedroom at my sister's house. And I can't tell you how I was pained, where it's like, does the bed go here? Doesn't feel right. Doesn't. Oh my God, where it was like.
The Goldilocks effect.
Oh my God.
The trial and error. This is a little too big. This is a little too small. This is a little too soft. This is a little too hard. Like, and this is just right. And that's how I feel about every room. I'm just constantly playing the Goldilocks, and I move stuff around all the time. Like I test. Like right now, I have that's usually not there, but I'm like, it's the holidays. I'm going to put a tablecloth, and it's a very colorful. And now I'm thinking it might be too colorful.
Oh,
but it's pretty, you know, it's
No,
fun.
it's
My holiday touch, you know.
right. No, I like it. I think it's pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially with that table.
Yeah. But that's technically my children and creativity gua, and there's a lot of energy there, and it should be more metal than what's happening over there. So I need to calm it down a little.
I'm gonna have to talk to you about all these different, because I don't really.
You don't know the guas.
I do not.
Well, you know what? We could talk about doing a little exchange.
I would love
I think
to.
I'm ready to do another reading
Yeah, I
with
would
you,
totally
and
do
I
an
would
exchange.
love to do feng shui for you.
Yeah.
I bet your space is really cool. You just have such cool energy that I'm
thank
dying
you.
to see how that's mirrored in your space, because I really feel like when you're doing feng shui for someone, you're reading the room and you're reading them, and the narrative is there and the writings on the walls. Like the art is telling me a story. Like, and so I'm dying to see what your place says.
Do you know, it's funny. I had a friend who recently was just telling me a little bit about the art, and she just said, you need to get rid of anything that doesn't represent who you are.
Yes, and anything that like expresses violence or sadness. Sometimes people are like, oh, it's such a beautiful piece of art, but it's so melancholy, and every time you look at it, it's such a bummer.
Yeah.
So like Salvador Dali, some of his stuff is like really intense. It belongs in a museum, but maybe not in your house.
Right.
So I always, when I'm looking at people's art, I try to tread lightly, but at the same time, I'm like, how does this make you feel?
Mm-hmm.
What stories? And then context is important. Context is very important. So you could have a piece of art, let's say it was a Salvador Dali, and you're an art dealer, and you make money selling those Salvador Dali paintings. If you put it in your prosperity gua, it might be okay contextually because you make money from that art, right? And it's helping you in that way. But if you put it in your love gua and it's maybe something violent or depressing in some way, it can be hurting you. So location.
Wow.
Where is it? It's kind of like storyboarding. So when you're hanging your art and curating it, you should be storyboarding. Like, what's the theme of this art? Let's connect it with the area of the home that matches that theme. So if it's romantic art, you put it in your love gua. If it's your career gua, because water is the element for your career, even if it has something doesn't have anything to do with your career, but it could be like an ocean scene, like that will still work in your career gua because it's a water element.
Right.
Or it could be very specific to your career.
Right. So intriguing.
So context. It's all about context and narrative, curation, and location.
Okay. Yeah, because I just threw away a bunch of stuff.
Because?
Reminded me of my ex.
Oh, well.
You know what I mean? Every time I'd look at it, I would be like,
oh, that's the other thing. What energy does it hold? Who gave
Yeah.
it to you? Who owned it before? Like,
Right.
like these things are actually holding energy and holding space. So it's like, do you want to be holding that energetic, narrative, space, history? And then, when you were talking about your first home, so that had predecessory energy or, predecessor energy, meaning like the spirits, or sometimes a home may not necessarily be haunted, but whoever lived there before you argued a lot. And there's an energetic imprint of like anger and conflict in that space. And it's not necessarily a spirit, it's an energetic imprint. And all that stuff can be cleared.
Absolutely.
But you just need to be aware.
Yeah. We call it a loop in like the spiritual, because I remember there's a bar that I go to occasionally down by the beach.
Ooh, it's a compliment.
And every time I'd walk into the bathroom there, and this place has been there forever, there was a girl who I thought was in spirit who was ODing in the bathroom.
Oh.
And then I realized after going in, I'm like, she's just like on a repeat loop. She doesn't communicate with me.
She can't get out.
No, it wasn't like she was trapped. It was just, it happened in that space.
Oh.
And it was imprinted in
she's
the walls.
Not
She was
there.
gone. She's gone.
Her spirit's good. She's totally gone to the light.
Exactly. But it was like the situation imprinted. And I was like, oh my God. So I'm going to say, like, I've got friends who are Ghostbusters, and it's like 98% of the time it's imprints.
It's not always ghosts.
Yep. 98% of the time.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. So that's why I think space clearing is so important. Even like, I just did an episode on Thanksgiving on like how to like neutralize the energy before people come over.
Oh my
and
God.
if things went south, how to neutralize it after they leave.
Right.
It's almost like cleaning your house. You also have to clean the energy.
Oh God.
And it's an ongoing thing. Like it's like, imagine if you cleaned your house once and never cleaned it again. Oh, but I cleaned it. Once now it's dirty again. Same thing with energy. You have to constantly be managing that and doing the upkeep, maintenance.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I cleared my space so much after the end of a relationship. I got new silverware. I got new plates.
Did you get a new mattress?
I got a new mattress.
Good for
course.
you.
Oh
That's the biggest
Absolutely.
one. It literally will hold.
I got a new toilet seat.
Oh
it was like everything must go.
I'm surprised you didn't just move.
I should have, but I love where I live.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. As long as you cleared the air and the space.
The space. No, absolutely. But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah. So, I just think like it's maintenance, and same thing with probably the work that you do. When you're working with people, you probably have to clear yourself before and after.
I take salt baths all the time, like sometimes twice a day.
We were taught that in feng shui school, like when you're and I'm not going there to do a seance or anything, though sometimes I kind of am. If I'm doing a space clearing, But you cleanse yourself before and you cleanse yourself after.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, because sometimes the nasty stuff can stick. I put it out to spirit that I work with very high vibrational people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Like
I have
me.
to, seriously, no, I do. I work with very high vibrational people.
Yeah.
But I remember in my earlier part of my training career and stuff, there was 1 or 2 people that I actually refunded. I couldn't get them out of my house quick enough. Where it was just like,
what were they rude to you?
no, their energy was off.
And you didn't feel like you could help them.
Icky. And it was like all I kept hearing was like, abort the mission. It was like, get them. And I just stood up. I was like, you're such a lovely person, but I'm just,
So you reject, like, how do they respond to that? Can
I
imagine going to someone like...
No, well, they didn't know that was why. To me, I was just like, I'm just not going to
I'm having an off day. I'm having an off day.
I'm so sorry.
It's not you.
Totally, yeah, exactly.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Exactly.
And yeah, sometimes
and like what you said, you don't mesh with everybody.
True.
So for whatever reason, they didn't feel right to me. And I was like, okay, go with that.
I want to talk about 5D and your thoughts on this. Like, so right now we're in 3D, right? And I was told there is no actual 4D or it's gone. And so what are your thoughts on this transition to 5D and how certain people in our lives seem to be like leaving our lives, where new people are entering because we are changing and not everyone's coming with us? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, haven't you noticed it? It's like there's certain people in your life falling away.
Yes.
I have to say from 2018 to 2023, 2022, like all of my spiritual girlfriends ended their marriages.
2020. Oh, well, during COVID, right?
Well, even before then, it was like 2018 to 2021. I can't tell you how many of my girlfriends who are mediums like me, their marriages ended. It was like, and none of the guys were like on the same page. Mm-hmm. The great guys, but just not on the same page.
Yeah.
And it's like, and so what I kind of feel happens is they're going to go their way. You're going to go your way with your other higher vibrational. You know what I mean? It's a
tribe.
Exactly. So your tribe's kind of going into a different direction.
Unless they can come with.
And they might be, you know what I mean? But it's like my reality is not fear-based.
Neither's mine.
So because of that, those of us that are not fear-based, we're going in a different direction. We're not worrying about the media and all of that other stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and I already see. Like, first of all, you see relationships and you see certain friendships kind of.
Or even within families.
Oh.
People becoming, like, the world is so polarized right now. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I just want to be neutral as possible.
Right.
And hold space for people as best I can.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm kind of making the show a little more spiritual. Like, yes, we'll talk about fashion. We'll talk about feng shui, which to me, I think is kind of spiritual.
Absolutely.
But I also want to talk about spirit.
Yeah.
And I want to give people tools to navigate these weird waters that we are swimming in.
Yeah.
The world is changing. People are changing. Our relationships are changing. And I think we just need tools to navigate and ride the wave,
Absolutely. And I also think like we're going to be getting into a spot as we get more 5D where we're more community based.
Thank God.
Where it's
well, it's also where we just entered the Aquarian, like Pluto just went into Aquarius, which is, so we were in Capricorn for years, which is capitalism and money and keeping up with the Joneses. Aquarian age is supposed to be about community and if you're well known, you should be well known for something that helps the world, not just yourself. You're not just feeding your own pockets.
Right.
You can feed your pocket, but you should be giving back.
Absolutely.
And yes, community, as you were saying.
Yeah, and community. And I just love that because to me it's like, if you think about your life, it's like, it's all about relationships.
Yeah.
To me, it's like and
the relationship with yourself.
Absolutely.
Starting with a relationship with yourself.
Oh my God, yeah, but it's all about relationships. It's like the rest is just like filler. So it's like, how do you relate to yourself? How do you relate to the other people in your life? It's just,
Yeah.
You know, and that's where COVID got a little scary because we all kind of separated ourselves for a time.
And people were isolated.
Yeah.
And then you had like your pod,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like your small group of people that you saw, and my world became smaller, and my circle became a lot smaller.
Right.
But what I realized is like, but it came more real.
Is your circle still smaller? Because I say my circle got smaller and stayed smaller, and I like it because it's way more quality.
It is smaller. It's a lot smaller, but it is way more quality. I can completely be. I have to be able to be myself.
Yep.
And I realized that I was maybe not always around people where I could fully be myself.
Yeah.
Or people that were not that nice to me.
Yeah, and see that's
like yeah.
Yeah, that's not, you know, being authentic. Oh my God, that is like. It's such a great feeling when you can be authentic.
You let your guard down.
Oh my God. And think about like, especially as I think about it sometimes as a teenager. It's like, oh my gosh, no wonder being a teenager is so hard.
Yeah.
Because like and I don't know how you grew up, but it was like we didn't let our guard down. We couldn't let our guard down. My family was ruthless if you let your guard down.
I think when I look back at my teenage years, I was an escape artist. Like, I was just, like, in my own little world.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And I'm still a little bit
That's not bad, if it works.
Yeah.
If it works.
There was another topic that we talked about before we turned the camera on. We had a little meal, and I was asking you about if you think we are in a simulation. So the 5D is one thing. Like, right. You know, and actually... We should explain what that means. A lot of people don't even know. I'll let you explain it from a spiritual perspective.
Okay, so if we look at it literature based, you know, all the world's a stage and the men and women are merely players.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with that. And that's why I'm like, and you've got to dress for the role. Okay. You know, like it's a role of a lifetime. Yeah. It's you, and you're the star.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I don't know if you're familiar with Dolores Cannon.
Yes,
okay, so
absolutely.
I mean, I love the way Dolores Cannon has her walk-ons or her extra people.
So Dolores Cannon was a hypnotist.
Yes.
Who basically through her work discovered that people had these past lives. Like she put people under, and they'd start talking about like their time in the 1920s, and she's like, "Wait, what?" And they had a different name and a different life, and it happened over and over and over again. So she became kind of an expert on past lives.
But the interesting thing about Dolores also is the fact that not just the past lives, but these beings started communicating through. So, and that to me is like the crazy stuff. But one of the things that she came across were the realization that all people do not have souls.
What?
So, there are extras, walk-ons.
Yeah,
I don't know what
walk-ins.
So you might be like sitting next to somebody right now who is just kind of filler. So that they're there so you can help to learn things.
It's from a theatrical perspective, a movie film analogy. They're like background players.
Extras.
They're not leading. Like they don't. They may not even have like lines.
Right.
They're just there to fill. And there's people like that. And I just remember like my mind boggled. But I think there's something to it.
I do too. I definitely do. And there's certain, you know, and and that we didn't even get into souls and stuff like that, but being a simulated universe or a simulated reality, and there is so much science pointing to this at this date.
Yes,
absolutely. Do I think it's a little different than the Matrix? Yes.
Yeah. Oh no, it's like, and some people are like, because I brought it up to somebody who was fairly spiritual, and they're like, oh, they didn't relate to it because they thought of it like, oh, you're in a machine. I'm like, no, I don't mean it like that. I mean it like. This life is this performance, and we go in with like a script, but it's like almost like an outline but we are
you got a lot of wiggle room.
And you might not even complete the whole story.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So the reason I believe in simulation, I think, and reincarnation, that like this kind of comes back to reincarnation, is that we keep coming back to the same narrative to get it right. Like it's like a film that's shot with different endings,
right?
And you just keep trying. Like I'm gonna try it this way,
right?
You know, I'm gonna play it this way. I'm gonna play it like,
and that doesn't even get into parallel universes or
my God,
that to me is
different
like
choices. And then now we the story's going this way because she decided to go off with this guy,
right? You
know, or the story's going this way because she's following her spiritual path, or,
right?
You know, the story's going this way because she got into drugs and she couldn't,
right?
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. To me, it's very mind bending.
Yeah, so there's like different versions of ourselves, like living based on different choices we make on different timelines.
Exactly.
That's a whole nother.
The thing that kind of blows me away, I don't know if you follow Bashar, the channeler. Okay,
I listen
because he says if you do that, there's a different soul attached to the different you, and I'm like,
then it gets too much.
Exactly, and I'm like, I can't wrap my head around that. Yeah, okay.
I have to focus on this identity, but one thing I got out of my first plant medicine journey, I was so changed my worldview because when I came out of it, I was like, this is just a role that I'm playing, but this isn't exactly this is a version of me.
Oh my God.
But I realized like, oh, I'm the ocean, I'm this, I'm that, like I'm all these other things, and I'm also Laura.
Right.
And it was so like I really had a hard time, like it took me a couple months to get back into like, okay, but I'm here now, and I'm Laura right now, and I may be something else in some other realm, but all I know right now, and I have to just focus on this role that I'm playing.
Right.
But I like you can lose your identity a little bit if you get too caught up in like.
Absolutely. Oh my God.
The spiritual aspect of who we really are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing's trippy to me, and it's like, and that's why
I hope we're making sense.
No. But that's the thing. We didn't get high, really.
We did not. I don't know why. Yeah.
But to me, that's the thing. Is like the more that I delve into my spirituality, the more I realize I don't know.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
You know, it's like you just keep getting deeper and deeper and learning more and taking on more concepts, but you just realize I will never have the answers.
And also, we're not completely in control. Like we are and we're not. It is a collaboration with spirit. That's why it helps to have a relationship with spirit, because like we have a certain amount, like we actually have a lot of agency. However, in feng shui, we talk about this. There's, different kinds of luck. There's human luck. There is earthly luck, and there's spiritual luck. So spiritual luck is like your astrology or your divine, blueprint or whatnot, and you cannot control that. So that's why you need that relationship with spirit, so you can understand what and why something's happening to you. It's just like, oh, well, you're in this chapter of your life that is,
right,
divinely guided, that sorry, I know you want to be with that person, but they don't love you anymore, and they left you so that you could become your best self or whatever.
Exactly.
But so 66.6% of your luck you have control over, agency over. Okay. 33.3% of your luck is divine intervention. It's so you want to collaborate with spirit in order to. But we have agency over a lot of it. Like we're playing the role. You're playing the role.
Right.
But there's parts, like destiny points that sorry, you're going to have these challenging periods because they're tests. That's part of your, what we came here for.
Yeah. And like shadow work and stuff like that. To me, it's just like doing the work and going for it and just kind of going for the ride.
Well, and as a spiritual, working in your space, what tips can you... Yes, let's give people some takeaway, like how they can navigate these like interesting times.
Yeah.
Some people may be losing friends, loved ones, or just worldview may be changing, or they may just feel like out of control because the world is changing in ways that they don't understand.
Any time that I feel uncomfortable or I get triggered, we all get triggered.
Sure.
To me, I always like to stop and kind of make the pause and like, why is this bothering me? Where am I feeling this in my body? And a lot of times I can feel it right here. And it's like, okay, well, what does that say?
What chakra?
That's your third chakra.
Okay.
Okay, that's your third chakra.
Creativity?
It's your whole sense of self.
Okay.
Okay, your whole sense of self is there. So a lot of times, like, you'll be challenged over certain things. But to me, it's like you just have to kind of say why, like sit with your emotion. And so many of us do not sit with our emotions. So it's like, if something doesn't feel right, just sit with it for a second. Doesn't mean you have to like wallow and make it your best buddy and then let it go.
I think you have to feel the feeling, even if it's dark and terrible.
Absolutely.
In order to transmute it. Like feel the feeling, but don't get stuck there.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of people are getting stuck.
Absolutely. And I always separate it this way. I'm like, you're 2 and you're human. You know, and those are the lower chakras. That's why I'm saying if I feel it in my belly, I'm like, I'm in my lower chakras right now. So I'm in my human.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but it's like if I'm up here, it's like, okay, this is my higher self. This is myself that's connected to spirit. This is really who I am. That's my soul, my spirit, all of that good stuff. My human, I need my human because I'm learning an awful lot of lessons through my human.
And we're also here in the physical world. We're still in 3D.
Yes.
You know, like, so we have to operate on the human level.
Exactly. So I just always try to kind of navigate into like, where am I feeling it? Why am I feeling it this way? What can I learn?
Do you still do TM?
I do occasionally, not regularly.
I know.
Like
I'm getting back into it. And actually, I'm lining up an interview with a TM instructor because the person that taught me, it's a new center, you know, like, so it's all changed. It's different players, you know, but I want to bring in a TM person because I think it is a useful tool. I was really consistent for a really long time, and and now I want to return to it, you know. But it's hard sometimes with like so you as a spiritual person.
Yeah. It's the 20 minutes twice a day. To me,
Yes.
it was like, I was always great with the morning.
Oh,
And then like
nighttime that's hard.
sleepy. And it's like, if I try to meditate, I'm
But
like,
even once a day, I think is great.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, just as long as you get it in there.
Yeah.
And even if you can't get 20 minutes, 10 minutes, you know,
Yeah.
like yeah. So, but
I'm very disciplined at sitting in my meditation chair every morning. Like I said, I get up at the crack of dawn. So
3 a.m.
So, no, sometimes
I
4.
go to bed at 3 a.m. She gets up at 3 a.m. Like, well, so I'll be thinking of you when I go to bed.
Exactly. No, my dogs, I don't know what my neighbors think because my dogs are literally going for their morning walk by 3:30.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's still night.
Yeah, it's still night. But I love it because I sit in my meditation chair and I go to bed super early. I mean, I'm going to probably go home and I'll be like, oh my God, it's 7 o'clock.
I know, this is so late for you.
This is so late.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I love it because it is truly the bewitching hour. And that's what they say. The veil is its thinnest between like 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Oh,
and
that's
I just
interesting.
love, that's
So
my favorite time of day.
I'm obsessed. I'm up until 3 something. And so I have a connection with that time too.
Yeah.
But just on the other side of it.
Yeah, and that's whatever works for your body.
I come alive at night.
Yeah,
you know?
whatever works for your body.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's body's different.
A little bit of a night owl.
Yeah.
A morning bird.
Yeah, totally morning person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But my point is understanding what triggers you, and then making that trigger work for you rather than against you. And I think a lot of people will let their triggers sort of rule them.
Yeah.
You know, and to me, it's just like, no, use it as a learning tool.
It's like stop and go like, all right, I'm really activated right now.
Why am I so upset about this person that just cut me off in traffic? Who cares?
Yeah,
You know?
I lose my whole zen when I drive.
Yeah, of course. Most of us do.
But it's so stupid. What is my, like, I know intellectually, I'm like, what is your rush? But I like.
It's got to go back to, and seriously, kind of just look at, is it like, did you make me feel stupid? Did it bring up something that maybe somebody said to me when I was younger? Did it make me feel insecure? Do I feel like you're questioning my intelligence or, you know, whatever?
What can I learn from this? And how can I like not get activated by it over, because it's a pattern, right?
Absolutely. And we want to respond. We don't want to react. And I think most of us are reactionary.
And we're operating on a loop of like our childhood, you know, like, and when you start to see it, you see yourself doing it. You're like, okay, I've been doing this all my life. I don't need to keep making that same mistake or reacting the same way or being attracted to the same guy with a different pair of pants.
Right.
I'm
exactly.
like, enough.
Yeah, definitely enough.
Enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, where can people find you?
Mediumsusan.com is my website. You can send me an email there. You can communicate through me always.
Wonderful. And I'll put a link in the Substack, and it'll also show up on Spotify and YouTube.
Okay.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I think we went to a lot of different places. Hopefully this made sense. Please leave your comments and questions, and many blessings, everyone. Ciao for now.
Bye.
Adios.